My coworker reported me to Human Resources for harassment as revenge because I rejected her and reported her for harassing me, but now she won't be the only one who has to pay. I'm 28 years old and work at a company. This involves my 26-year-old coworker, Monica. I've been at this company for about 3 years. It's a fairly relaxed work environment with an open concept office. Most people are friendly and professional. I generally keep to myself, do my work, and go home. I'm not the type to socialize much with coworkers outside of work events. Monica started working here about 8 months ago and sits about 2 desks away from mine. When she first started, I helped her with some basic things, like explaining some of our internal systems, normal stuff for a new employee. The first few weeks were completely normal. We said good morning, maybe talked, and worked on the same things. The first strange situation occurred approximately a month after she started. I was working late one night to finish a pending task for the next day. Most people had already left the office. Monica approached my desk and asked if I wanted to get dinner, as we were both still there. I politely declined and told her I needed to finish my work and go home. She seemed to understand and returned to her desk. A week later, she asked if I wanted to grab coffee before work started. I said, no thanks, and explained that I normally just got coffee from the break room machine. After that, she started doing it more frequently. She found reasons to come to my desk, asking questions she could easily have resolved herself or asked someone else. She offered to work on projects with me, even when it didn't make sense for our roles. Approximately 3 months after she started, she directly asked me out. She came during lunch and asked if I wanted to go to the movies that weekend. I told her I didn't date coworkers and preferred to keep my personal life separate from work. She said she understood and respected workplace boundaries, but she didn't stop. If anything, it intensified. She started bringing me coffee in the mornings without being asked. She left little notes on my desk about random things. She sent me messages with work questions outside of work hours, when they could easily wait until the next day. I started being more direct about maintaining boundaries. When she brought coffee, I thanked her but told her it wasn't necessary. When she sent messages after hours, I replied the next morning and mentioned that I preferred to keep work communication within work hours. 2 months ago, she asked me out again. This time she suggested we go for drinks after work as colleagues. I reminded her that I wasn't comfortable with that and that we had already discussed the topic. She said she was just trying to be friendly and that I was being too rigid about workplace relationships. I decided I had to be clearer. I told her directly that I wasn't interested in spending time together outside of work, neither as friends nor in any other capacity. I asked her to stop insisting and respect my boundaries. She stayed quiet, nodded, and returned to her desk. For a week, things seemed to improve. She no longer came to my desk as much or tried to sit with me at lunch. I thought she had finally understood, but last month everything got worse. She started appearing in the same places I was during breaks. If I went to the break room, she appeared minutes later. If I went out for some air, she also went out. When I got up to go to the restroom or to the printer, she coordinated her movements to meet me. 3 weeks ago, I had to stay late working again. Around 7 p.m., most people had already left, except for a few with pending deliverables. Monica approached and said she had ordered pizza for those of us still there and asked what toppings I liked. I told her I planned to finish quickly and grab something on my way home. She insisted it was her treat. When the pizza arrived, she made a big show of organizing a kind of dinner in the boardroom and invited the 3 of us who were still there. The other 2 took their slices and returned to their desks, but she sat down and started talking to me as if we were on a date. She asked about my hobbies, my family, where I grew up. I replied briefly and told her I needed to keep working. All of this leads up to last week. We were in a team meeting with about 8 people, including our supervisor. Monica was presenting some client feedback when she made a comment about how she and I had been collaborating closely on the account. This wasn't true. We had barely worked together on anything. After the meeting, I pulled her aside and told her not to imply we were working together when we weren't. She got defensive and said she was just trying to give me credit for an idea she had incorporated. I told her I didn't want credit for work I didn't do. Yesterday was the last straw. I was in the supply closet looking for some folders when she came in behind me. She closed the door and said we needed to talk privately. She said she could tell I was attracted to her but was repressing it due to company policies. She claimed she had researched and that the company didn't actually prohibit relationships between coworkers as long as they were reported to Human Resources. I told her she was completely wrong and that I had no interest in her, neither romantically nor personally. I told her I had already been clear about that several times and that her behavior was making me uncomfortable. She said I was just afraid of office gossip and that we could keep it a secret until we knew what to do. I opened the door and left. She followed me to our desks, still talking about how we had a connection and how I shouldn't let company policy get in the way of something good. I went to Human Resources that same afternoon. I explained the situation to Maggie, our HR manager. I told her basically everything I've told you all. I held nothing back. Maggie took notes and said she would take care of it. Today, Monica came to work acting as if nothing had happened. She smiled and said, "Good morning," as usual. During lunch, she came to my table and sat down. She said she had spoken with HR and that everything had been a misunderstanding. She said Maggie explained to her that I was just being cautious about workplace relationships and that she understood. Now that cannot be what HR told her. I'm pretty sure she's lying about what happened in that conversation, but now I don't know what to do. She's acting as if the meeting with Human Resources resolved everything in her favor and that everything is back to normal. I'm starting to dread coming to work. I can't focus on my projects because I'm constantly watching to see if she's coming to my desk. I've started eating lunch in my car just to avoid her. I even time my bathroom breaks for when she's in meetings. The worst part is that she's good at making everything seem innocent to others. When coworkers are around, she acts completely professional. Only when we're alone or in small groups does she cross boundaries. I don't know if I should go back to Human Resources to insist. Has anyone had a coworker who turned out to be terrifying? Update 1. Things haven't improved for me, and the only change has been for the worse. Before continuing, I want to emphasize a suggestion everyone has made: recording for evidence. However, recording conversations within the company goes against policy. Not only would it not be taken as evidence, but I could also be fired and sued. The day after my original post, Monica began what I can only describe as a campaign to make our coworkers believe we were dating. It started slowly. When people mentioned these things to me, I corrected them and said I had no idea what they were talking about. But Monica was cunning. She made these claims when I wasn't present, so by the time I found out, the person had already accepted her version of events. A week later, we had our monthly happy hour at a bar near the office. I almost didn't go because I knew Monica would be there, but my supervisor had specifically mentioned he wanted to talk to me about a new project, so I felt I had to go. I arrived early and grabbed a table with some colleagues. When Monica arrived, she came directly to our table and sat right next to me. She started acting as if we had planned to meet there. She ordered for both of us without asking what I wanted and referred to us as we when talking to other people. The worst part was when she started touching me. She'd touch my arm while talking, lean against me when she laughed, and at one point even put her hand on my leg under the table. I moved away each time, but she'd do it again minutes later. I was about to leave when our supervisor, Eric, came over to talk about the project. Monica immediately jumped into the conversation, acting as if she was already involved in what Eric wanted to discuss. Eric seemed confused because he had only mentioned it to me, but Monica kept making suggestions and acting as if she knew what we were talking about. Then Eric looked at both of us and said he was glad to see Monica and I got along so well, as we would be working together on this new account. He said Human Resources had suggested pairing us because we apparently had good collaboration. I asked Eric what he meant by HR suggesting it. He said Maggie had mentioned that we had requested to work together more and that Monica had specifically asked to be assigned to projects with me. Eric thought it was great because it showed initiative and team spirit. After Eric left, I confronted Monica. I asked her what she had told Human Resources and Eric. She smiled and said she had just been honest about our working relationship and how well we collaborated. She said that since I had gone to Human Resources to talk about workplace relationship policies, she followed up to clarify that we wanted to work together professionally. I realized she had completely twisted my complaint to Human Resources. Instead of being a case of harassment, she had somehow made it seem like I was asking about dating policies because I was interested in her. And instead of her behavior being the problem, she made it seem like we were both interested in collaborating more. I immediately left the bar and went home. On Monday morning, I went directly to Maggie's office before the day started. I brought my documentation and requested a formal meeting. Maggie seemed surprised to see me and said she thought we had already resolved the issues in our last conversation. I asked her exactly what Monica had told her. Maggie said that Monica had returned after our initial meeting to clarify that there had been a misunderstanding. According to Maggie, Monica claimed that I had asked her about the company's dating policies because I was interested in dating her, but wasn't sure about the rules. Monica told Maggie that she had misinterpreted my questions as a rejection, when in reality, I was just being cautious about workplace relationships. I showed Maggie my documentation and explained that this was completely false. I told her Monica was lying and that her behavior was getting worse, not better. I explained what happened at happy hour and how she had managed to get herself assigned to work with me by misrepresenting our interactions. Maggie seemed uncomfortable. She said Monica had appeared very sincere and that it was difficult to determine what had really happened since it was my word against hers. She said that since Monica had technically not violated any policy and workplace friendships were normal, there wasn't much she could do unless there was more concrete evidence of harassment. It was then that I made a decision that probably saved my sanity. I told Maggie I wanted everything documented in writing. I wanted a formal record that I had complained about Monica's unwanted attention and that I had explicitly stated I was not interested in working with her or socializing beyond what was strictly necessary for work. Maggie agreed to document everything but said she couldn't remove Monica from the project without a valid business reason. She suggested I try to maintain professional boundaries and keep her informed if anything else happened. The next day, Monica started working on the new project with me. She acted as if we were a team and kept making suggestions about how we should divide the work. She wanted us to have daily follow-up meetings and proposed staying late to get ahead of schedule. I rejected all her suggestions. I told her I preferred to work independently and that we should only meet when absolutely necessary. I said all communication should be done by email so that records of our decisions would exist. I could tell she was frustrated, but she couldn't argue with my approach as it was completely professional. But this is where things took an unexpected turn. Yesterday, I learned that Monica had started telling a very different version of events. According to Monica's version, I had asked her out multiple times, and she had had to report me to human resources because I wouldn't take no for an answer, and that Monica was worried about working on the project with me because she feared I might retaliate after she rejected me. Now I'm in a position where I don't know who else Monica has told this false version to. I don't know if my coworkers think I'm a harasser. I don't know if my supervisor believes her story or mine. Tomorrow, I will go back to human resources with this new information. I'm also considering whether I should directly involve my supervisor or even speak with someone above Maggie in the HR chain of command. Update 2. The situation has spun completely out of control, beyond anything I could have imagined. I'm writing this update because I need to vent somewhere, and also because some of you asked me to keep you informed no matter what happened. After my last post, I went back to human resources with the information that Monica was spreading false stories about me, saying that I had been pursuing her. Maggie agreed to investigate, but said it would take time, as she would need to interview the people Monica had spoken with. Meanwhile, I had to continue working on the project with Monica. I stuck to my plan of communicating solely by email and keeping our interactions to a minimum. Monica seemed to realize I was creating a paper trail because she started calling me instead of replying by email. When I told her I preferred email, she responded that it was more efficient to speak directly. 2 weeks ago, Monica took things to a level I never imagined. She scheduled a meeting with our supervisor, Eric, to discuss the project's progress. When I arrived, Eric seemed tense. He said he had received some concerning reports about the project dynamic and wanted to address them directly. Monica immediately launched into a prepared speech about how uncomfortable she felt working with me. She said I had made inappropriate comments during our one-on-one meetings and that she felt unsafe. She claimed I scheduled unnecessary meetings and kept her in conference rooms longer than necessary. We had barely had any one-on-one meetings, and when we did, they were brief and work-focused. I told Eric that was completely false, that I had email records of all our interactions. Monica replied that the inappropriate behavior happened in person and during phone calls, so there would be no written evidence. She said she had been documenting everything, that she had witnesses who could confirm I acted strangely with her. Eric said he took these accusations very seriously and would have to involve human resources immediately. He suspended me from the project while an investigation was conducted and instructed me not to have any contact with Monica while HR evaluated her complaint. I went directly to Maggie's office. She told me she had received a formal complaint from Monica that same morning and that she had to follow company protocol for harassment accusations. This meant I would be temporarily moved to another team while they investigated. The next day, I was relocated to another floor to work with a different supervisor. People whispered when I passed by, and I could tell the word had already spread that something had happened. I felt like everyone was looking at me as if I were some kind of predator. Maggie scheduled interviews with the people Monica said had witnessed inappropriate behavior. The problem was that Monica was very clever with her accusations. She didn't claim anything dramatic that would be easy to refute. Instead, she said my body language made her uncomfortable, that I got too close, that I had made comments about her appearance that could be interpreted as compliments, but which she found inappropriate. When Human Resources interviewed my colleagues, most said they hadn't noticed anything obvious, but some said they had seen me talk frequently with Monica. One person said they had seen me follow Monica to the break room several times, which was a complete lie. But since Monica was there when I also went, it seemed credible. HR also learned about the happy hour incident when Monica sat next to me and was physical. But Monica told them that I had asked her to sit with me. She presented it as if I had invited her to get closer, and that I was the one who did everything that happened under the table, not her. After a week of investigation, Maggie called me for a meeting. She told me that while there wasn't enough evidence for a formal sanction, there were enough concerns about our working relationship to keep us on separate teams permanently, and that I should consider this a warning and that any future complaints would result in serious consequences. I asked Maggie about my original complaint against Monica. Maggie said that given the new information, it seemed I was trying to minimize what I was doing to her. But the story doesn't end there. I finally found someone on my side who could provide testimony about Monica's behavior. It's a coworker who went out for drinks with Monica, and my harasser let her guard down with her. Not much, but enough to say that she liked me. It's not a lot, but it is proof that I wasn't harassing her and that my version of events makes more sense. When she told me, we went directly to Maggie the next morning. Maggie listened to her twice and said she needed to re-interview other people. Monica hasn't been informed about this yet, but she has been acting nervous. She avoids me completely and seems to be trying to lay low. I think she knows something is happening. In any case, I can't keep working here with this hanging over me. Even if Monica is fired, everyone still believes I was the one who harassed a coworker. My reputation here is destroyed. I've started looking for other jobs, but I'm worried about what kind of reference they'll give me and if this situation will follow me wherever I go. I never imagined that a simple workplace harassment complaint could become so complicated. Update 3. My coworker's testimony turned out to be the key to everything. This triggered a deeper investigation where the supposed witnesses were re-interviewed, and what I said was taken more seriously, which is what they should have done from the beginning instead of waiting for someone else to speak for me. Maggie and the legal team decided to confront Monica directly with what I had heard, without mentioning this conversation with my coworker. They called her in for what she thought was a routine follow-up interview about her harassment complaints. According to Maggie, Monica immediately became defensive when asked to clarify some details of her accusations. When pressed on specific incidents and timelines, her story started to change and had several inconsistencies. She couldn't accurately remember when certain things had happened or what I had supposedly said word for word. Then they told her they had reason to believe she had made false statements during the investigation. Apparently, at that point, Monica broke down and admitted she had exaggerated some of the incidents. She claimed she had truly felt uncomfortable with my attention, but had exaggerated the details to ensure human resources took her seriously. When they told her they had witnesses that she was the one attracted to me, she asked for a lawyer. The meeting ended there. Monica was suspended while the investigation was completed. 3 days later, she submitted her letter of resignation. The company decided not to pursue legal action against her, but they also agreed not to provide references beyond confirming her employment dates. As for me, the company offered a formal apology and put on record that I had committed no wrongdoing. They offered me to return to my original team and position, but by then, I had already accepted a job offer elsewhere. My new job is at a smaller company where I knew someone who could vouch for my character. I was honest with them about what happened at my previous job, and they appreciated my transparency. I've been there for 3 weeks, and it has been a relief to work in a better environment. I still occasionally run into former coworkers, and most now support me since they know the truth. But some relationships were permanently damaged by the false accusations. This is the reason that is leading me to file a lawsuit, not only against Monica for harassment and damage to my reputation, but also against my old company. I know it's not well regarded for an employee to sue the company they worked for, but for a long time, I tried to get them to take my harassment case seriously, and it wasn't until Monica filed hers that they took it seriously, but to affect me. Worse yet, it wasn't until the conversation with a coworker that they decided to investigate further. If it weren't for that, I probably would have had to resign with a cloud of questioning hanging over me. So yes, I'm going to take this lawsuit seriously, at least to make it clear how unfair the treatment towards me was. Update 4. I want to explain everything that has happened with my lawsuit against Monica and my former company regarding my workplace harassment complaint. Monica has accepted a settlement that, according to my lawyer, represents fair compensation for the stress and lost career opportunities. After having to resign from my old job and start over somewhere else, she has agreed to pay close to $80,000, which is almost a year's salary for me. She also agrees not to contact me or mention anything about this, otherwise we could sue her again. Unfortunately, there was nothing we could do on the criminal side. However, we also sued my former company for their lack of action on my complaint, as well as for the unequal treatment between my case and the other parties. As a result, Maggie and others close to the Human Resources Department have been fired. Everyone connected to my complaint who decided to look the other way was terminated. As for the financial settlement, I don't know if I feel comfortable writing the exact figure here, but it amounts to several years' worth of salary, more than I worked there as compensation. It was a settlement my lawyer advised me to accept, as taking the case to trial could have yielded uncertain results. In any case, I cannot complain about the agreement we reached. It has been much better than I expected when I decided to sue. My only hope before starting was that there would be some kind of punishment for the people involved, especially in human resources. I had hoped, at most, that they would know what it feels like to receive a complaint. But this is better than I ever imagined. M.